Hey everyone, Chris here, and welcome to Awaken Yoga. Yoga with purpose. Yoga your way. Today I'm doing a quick warm-up spinal stretch to get our spine moving and ready for whatever the day is going to take us. And if you're going to continue with one of my flows or something else of your own workout, hopefully this can help wake up your spine, move it in a nice way, and strengthen your back muscles to help reduce any lower back strain or pain. So can we just start in our mountain pose? Feet grounded into the ground. Lift your 10 toes and roll them all the way out so they can grip into the floor or the mat. We want to feel the strength of the ground coming back up through our feet. Feel all 4 points of each foot pressing into the ground and bring that up through your legs. Rolling your inner thighs in just a little bit, just hugging them in together. Then coming up to our tailbone, pointing it down to the ground. And imagine a beautiful piece of string coming up through your spine, pulling all the way up. So we just lengthen and bring some brightness into ourselves. Rolling those shoulders forward to bring them to here so that we've got a nice spot. And then we're going to open them all the way up and back and down. And that opens up our shoulders, opening up with our hands forward to help any of us that type all day at a desk, and bringing that length and brightness through our spine, ribs just slightly moving away from internal space, and that brings us to our Tadasana, our mountain pose. The strength and stability of a mountain to start our day. And from here, I just want you to raise your hands at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, and bring them down gently to your heart center and open them back up. And now as we do that, I want you to close your mouth and breathe through your nose for the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And as our fingers touch, exhale all the way down, past our forehead, hearts to our heart center, hands to our heart center rather, and open up into our mountain pose. And this time, on your own time, inhale, hands coming up, and finish the inhale as the fingertips touch at the top, and bring those fingers all the way down to our heart center and open back up. Now, can we come down to the mat to a 4-point position? Hands directly under our shoulders, fingers and hands pressing into the ground. And with this, I want you to just start to look at your fingers. Is your middle index finger pointing to the front of your mat? Can you feel the strength through your palms, with the back of the palm really pressing into the ground? When we do yoga, we have a lot of load that comes into our wrists. So we want to make sure that our hands are in a strong position to really give us the support that we need and not to overburden them. Shoulders over, shoulders rolling back and down, knees in line with our hips. And this brings us into our nice position to come through to cat-cow. So on the inhale, articulating our back all the way through for cow, and exhaling all the way back up, head coming down, spine rolling up to our cat. Inhale coming forward, and exhale rolling back, and see what it feels like if each vertebra just expands out, rolling them all the way open as we bring our head a little bit closer, neck releasing. Inhale coming up, brightness through our collarbones as we point to the front of the room, heart opening up, and exhale coming back and through. And now I invite you just to feel your body and see what feels good. Organically moving around, articulating, maybe rolling over the wrists. See what feels nice for you. I did a lot of flowing over the weekend, and so now my wrists are a little bit tender. So I'm going to move them out to the side. I might just move them around, feeling this space. And if it's in your practice and you kind of like it, maybe turn your hands backwards so your fingers are pointing to the back of the mat. If this is too much pressure on your wrists, especially for the first thing in the morning, don't go here, just keep your wrist forward. But if this feels nice, maybe some gentle movements, maybe some back and forward. It's a great way to stretch the wrists in a different position than we normally would. And then coming back to the center. And when we come back in here, let's just take 2 breaths to center ourselves with our back elongating out, hips over knees, and lifting your right hand just off the ground, raising it up to the sky, fingertips pointing up to the roof, and then drawing it all the way through. And we're going to thread a needle coming down and through under our arm, just floating above the ground here for a moment. And then bringing it all the way back up, opening our shoulder, opening our chest to the sky, saying good morning, and then bringing it down and through and back underneath, floating again. One more time, opening up, hand to the sky, chest nice and open, welcoming the day, and then bringing your hand all the way through, and this time we're going to land on our shoulder. Head coming down, shoulder landing, and if it feels nice, bringing your hand forward. Keeping our hips tracking over our knees. Hand might be forward on the palm or on the pads of the fingers, and just stretch here. Opening your left shoulder up to the side, maybe gazing out, feeling this opening through our spine and through our shoulders. And then bringing our left hand back down by our face, lifting our right hand back up to the sky one more time, opening up, and then bringing our left hand back down underneath the shoulder, hands in alignment with each other. And we're going to do the other side. Left hand floating up to the sky and coming through and down and hovering above the ground. Left hand tracking back up towards the sky and back through and hovering. And one last time, left hand floating all the way up to the sky, opening up our chest, and then bringing that all the way down, shoulder to the ground, head to the ground, right hand tracks overhead onto the pads of the fingers or the palm, and just turning here. Right shoulder opening up to the right side, gently twisting through your torso. And then right hand back to the ground, pressing ourselves back up and into our tabletop. Now I'd like you to bring your knees together and sit back into our hero's pose. And in our hero's pose, we're just going to sit here for one moment. If this is too much, come to an easy seat. But the reason we like to sit here is we want to bring our hands forward, palms touching. And then bringing our hands all the way back behind us, interlacing our fingers with our right thumb on top, and then bringing our hands across to the right hip like a little holster and dropping our neck down. And just slowly turning it down to the left and up to the right. And down and up. And just move the gaze to wherever feels nice. So we just wake up our neck and our back. Hand moving back behind you, unclasping the fingers and reclasping with the left fingers on top. And moving across to the left side. Head moving down, maybe turning down, turning back up, and turning down, and back up. And just lengthening out our neck here, not to anywhere that's painful or sore, but just a nice stretch to wake us up. Hands coming back and through to the front, interlacing the fingers and bringing them to your chest, to your heart. And then on our inhale, hands coming forward and down, head coming between our biceps, and just take a moment here. Inhale and exhale. On the next inhale, raising the hands all the way up to the sky, nice and bright, chest opening up. Then exhaling, bringing our hands down to a cactus and rolling our shoulders back and through. Hands pressed to the front, back of palms together. Then let's interlace those fingers and rolling our head down. Hold for a moment here. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, coming back up to the sky, bringing that energy all the way up and through our spine. And exhale, hands back down to cactus. And rolling our hands back and through and down to the ground. This time as we arrive, I'll flip this side so you can see me. Right foot coming to the back of the mat. And right foot just hovering up. And then dropping your right foot back down to the ground. turning to the inside arch of your right foot, coming to this supported side plank. Left knee's down on the ground, underneath your hip, long right leg, and let's just raise our right hand up to the sky. Open up. It's early, so we're just doing supported side plank. If you want to go to the full extension, no problem. Take your left foot back, bring your other foot on top, and you can start here. Being that it's a nice warm-up, thought I'd make it easy, but it's up to you. And then swapping to the other side. I have to flip around because otherwise my back's to you. Again, coming back, knees underneath hips, wrists stacked underneath shoulders. And let's extend our left foot back, keeping it at hip height. You may want to gaze over your shoulder just to make sure it's at hip height, and bringing that down to the inner arch of your left foot, tracking just over the top here of your right leg, and opening back up into our supported side plank. And again, you can stay here, which is perfect, or if you'd like to play, bring it back into a more active side plank and pressing through. And trying to keep this really nice line all the way down through our body if we're coming to the full extension here. Shoulder is still tracking directly over our wrist. Body's in alignment. Our spine, we're trying to keep it with that nice line all the way through like we had in our Tadasana, our mountain pose, and our hands extended all the way up. And then bringing our left hand back down to the ground, rolling back through. Knees come down to the ground. We're going to come into our puppy pose. And so from here, just bringing our hands out a little bit further, and we'll drop our forehead down to the ground for puppy. If you have the full extension and you're open, you are more than welcome to move further on. So you can stay here, or again, if you want to play and come a little bit further, and it's in your range, drop your chest down to the ground, and your chin might rest. This puts a lot of pressure into the shoulders, so make sure it's something that you're comfortable doing, especially early in the morning. It took me a long time to get here. I keep having to lift because I can't really talk with a microphone on the mat. It took me a long time to work to this position. So sit here, or the perfect extension, which is puppy pose. And when you finish there, just pulling all the way through and down into our cobra, our gentle waking up of the spine. Now with a cobra, we're not pushing really hard into our forearms. We're just gently lifting up. We want the top muscles in the back to be the most active here. And the aim with many of the back bends from cobra to supported cobra to our upward dog is we're trying to build the strength in our upper back muscles, because building the strength in our upper back muscles will alleviate the pressure that's always put into our lower back. And that's one of the most amazing things of yoga, is doing these back bends continually builds such dynamic and strong strength through your back. And then coming down. Bringing our hands to the outside of our mat here. We're going to raise for a couple of cobras. Inhale, coming up. And again, wherever this is for you, if it's just to here, keeping your spine in straight, perfect. If you've got a little bit more range, come up. And exhale down. Inhale, coming up, keeping that back alignment. Shoulders are rolling back and down. We're pressing into the fingertips here. Those pads of the fingers really pushing in. If you prefer to push your palms in, so that way the back of the palms are really pushing and working down, then that by all means, this is about your body and your feeling, and coming back down. And last time, pressing back up, waking up that spine, feeling the glorious movement, and exhale back down. And then coming back up to our feet, we're going to come down and sit on the ground with our feet extended. Right foot's going to come up and cross over our knee. And then from here, we're going to bring our left arm up to the sky and just press it to the outside of your right knee. And then with your right hand, bring it forward. And you can sit it to the outside, just behind your back. Now, wherever you turn is perfect as we start to wake up the spine. So we're just gently looking across here. And as you turn, what would it feel like for your torso to move, your chest to move? As opposed to pushing your shoulders and using the strength of your arms, turn your chest around and then put your hand in to really feel that twist through your spine. So you're not pushing or forcing anything. If you have the length, you might drop your hand down if it feels comfortable, or keep it up. And then you can gaze over your shoulder if that feels nice. Now with your spine, each vertebra moves only a small percentage. Each one moving in unison gives you that range as you turn more dynamically into different movements. So we need to preserve the muscles and the strength of our spine so that each vertebra can move little percentage by little percentage. And that makes our full range. If we force, it'll put too much pressure on one single vertebra when it's not ready for it, and that can cause pain, strain, or any other type of issue. So let's take this easy. Right foot forward, left foot coming in, left foot floating and coming across to the outside of our right knee. And again, moving our torso up and turning it first. So now I'm facing you, the brightness of the day. I've got it here. Left hand, we'll bring it back. Right hand comes up to the sky. Elbow comes to the outside. And our hands coming forward to say good morning. And we're strengthening here and turning our spine. Stay here. If it's in your range, turning a little bit more. Hand can come down. I kind of like my hand coming down. It feels a bit nicer for my stretch and my movement. And turn to wherever feels good. If your gaze is forward, perfect. If your gaze is to the side, or it's looking all the way back, wherever feels amazing for you. And coming back forward, feet out in front, as we just move into a reverse tabletop to wake our body up for the last moment. Feet will come down, bring our bum just down behind the backs of our feet. Hands are just pressing just slightly back and out. And I just want you to lift up and then lower down. I'm just going to do that 2 more times, lifting up and lowering down. And as we come up, we want to try to keep our knees tracking over our ankles, shoulders over wrists, and using the strength of our core muscles and our back to bridge us into this nice line. And back up. And back down. And perfect. Coming back through. And that's a nice dynamic spine movement. I'm just going to do 2 sun A's at the end of this, so feel free to stick around for them. Otherwise, if that's enough for you, move on to your other practice. But if you're going to join me for these sun A's, hands down to the ground, and we'll move into our downward facing dog. First dog of the day, so you may want to pedal this out. Pedaling that through and bringing some strength. And as we move back, what would it be like for your shoulders to roll down your back? Your hips moving slightly up to the sky. Imagine your tailbone pointing up to the roof and bringing that back. And feel your hips in a nice alignment. Come up to the toes. And as you come up to the toes, feel push through your spine and push back. So you can feel it with the position of your tailbone and also feel the alignment of your hips. And then as you bring your heels back down, try to preserve that place for your down dog. Coming back up to the balls of your feet, tiptoe step all the way to the top of your mat. Feet hip distance apart, grounding those feet in, and raise your hands up to below the knees for a long lift up, lengthening our spine and taking a moment here. Exhaling as we fold forward all the way back down with a nice generous bend through our knees. So we can wake up our hamstrings, our calves, and our hands will grip underneath our elbows, and we might just ragdoll for just a moment, moving around, adding some nice movements through our spine. Coming back to the center, rolling that spine, articulating every vertebra by vertebra, slowly moving it through. Shoulders roll open at the top, hands coming back down, strength through our legs, length through our spine, and we're back in our mountain pose. Hands coming up to the sky, fingertips touching, bringing that all the way down. And if you gaze up at your fingers, gently fold your neck forward to come down. Hands opening back up, shoulders roll back to our mountain pose, strength with the length coming from our tailbone down to the ground, fingertips come back up to the sky. fingertips touch, coming down through heart center, folding forward all the way down to the ground. Inhale, halfway lift, fingertips just below our knees as we press the length through our spine back. Hands to the ground, step back to our plank pose. Shoulders strong, stacking over our wrists. Heels pointing to the back of the room. Length all the way down in one nice line through our body. And then as our elbows come into the sides of our chest, keeping them in alignment, slowly lowering all the way to the ground. And we're back. Feet go long and a gentle press up into our cobra. And remembering the strength in our back that we spoke about earlier and coming down to the ground. If you'd like, you can do another cobra or come for the further extension of the heart opener to upward dog. Keeping your thighs off the ground will preserve your lower back here. We want the strength in our back, shoulders rolling back, heart opening up, collarbones forward, and exhale, coming up to our plank, rolling over your toes, folding at the hips to downward facing dog. And hold here for a moment to catch your breath. Inhale and exhale. Coming back into our breath on the next inhale, up to the tops of your toes, and stepping forward and through to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, fold forward. Inhale, hands coming all the way up to the sky, fingertips touch. And exhale, hands coming down and through heart center, shoulders roll back, hands to the front of the mat, Tadasana, strength and length through our body. Hands coming back up to the sky, fingertips touch, gracefully bringing that down and past our heart center, folding from our hips, knees bent as we come down to our fold. Hands coming up to below the knees to preserve that length through our spine. And exhale, hands to the ground, stepping back to our plank pose. Holding it here for a moment. Heels coming to the back of the room. Length in alignment all the way through our body. Shoulders over wrists. Strength through our palms. And elbows tucked into the sides of our chest as it grazes them all the way down to the ground. And coming up for the extension to your cobra or your upward dog. Thighs off the ground. Holding the strength through your legs, the bottom of your feet. Here, collarbones open, heart open. And exhale, rolling over your toes and back to downward facing dog. Up onto the balls of your feet, knees come down to the ground. And the pose that everyone's been waiting for, coming back and either into an embryo or a normal child's pose, fold forward. You can have the embryo, which is nice and close, hands coming back down the side of the body, or your knees further apart for more of a traditional child's pose, hips moving to the back of the mat, folding forward with your arms extending and head coming down. And stay here for a couple of moments, feeling the length through your spine. We've stretched and elongated our neck, vertebrae, our upper back and lower back with a little bit of movement, just very lightly moving into our sacrum. Feel all that length that you connected from each of the poses, and hopefully that helps you build some strength, build some length, and find some movement for the rest of your day ahead. Thanks for giving me your time and being here this morning, this afternoon, or this evening, wherever it is for you. Have a great rest of your day. Namaste.